So,
I would like to know
yes, sir.
that you guys have done, your production crew have done sort of like, dark Justice League team stories before, with like Crisis on Earth, with Justice Lord's episode in Justice League. So with this one, it's a complete alternate take. There's no appearance of the usual Justice League that we know of, at least. So how do you approach it, and how do you try to keep from repeating yourselves in terms of the voice acting and all that?
I'm lucky enough that in my career I work for a lot of different studios on a lot of different projects. So I may do SpongeBob in the morning and the Boondocks in the afternoon, which is completely different, right? And so that's the way I deal with these projects. Each one is individually different. So we did Batman the Animated Series, and that was kind of a dark turn on Batman. And then we did Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is a much more light. So this one was special because it's an original story, which appealed to me a lot because we all got to throw out our preconceived notions of what Batman sounds like or what Superman sounds like, and there's no graphic novel that this is based on. So the audience doesn't have, you read a graphic novel or even a book, and you hear the voices in your head of what you think the dialogue sounds like. This one, it's all a surprise to everybody. Nobody has a preconceived notion because it's a brand new story. So casting-wise, you look for actors that can just act the part. And you go, what is this Batman? Okay, well, this is a vampire Batman. This is a different Batman. And this Superman is not the son of Jor-El. This is Zod's son, raised by a Hispanic couple. And so everything is different. It's all different. And you just go from scratch and say, okay, wipe out all the stuff I've done before and just find the right actors for this and direct them through it. And Michael C. Hall was somebody we wanted to work with for a long time. 10 years at least I've been after him. But Dexter was all-consuming for him. And then Benjamin Bratt, too. Just as the timing worked out, they were available.
So with this being a very original new creation, I imagine you felt very creative. Okay, now this is sort of like what we can do, your stamp on it. So how did you sort of get into the mindset of trying to do something that's kind of original to you and your production crew?
That's a very good question. I kind of, every session I do is similar in that my job is to get the best possible performance from the actor that the producer wants, and that the animation director, because we do the voices first, that the animation director can then make into a very good-looking, logical, dramatic piece. So I had to get rid of my preconceived notions, because whatever the last Batman is that I did, that's the one that's clearest in my mind. And so I had to get that out of my mind and go, okay, well, this is a different Batman. He's got some real issues, and not the typical Batman vengeance issues, but different health issues and very common problems that everybody comes along with. He just happens to be a vampire. And then, so it's all just dealing with each piece individually and just trying to get the best performance I can. I didn't have any trouble with this in particular. Who else? You guys are so quiet over here.
Okay, so,
yes.
Throughout your career, you've cast so many characters who are originally from comic books, which is a silent medium. So, would you say it's the easiest character you're casting, or the hardest?
Easiest character to cast. Well, the hardest, of course, was Batman, because it was the first.
From Batman the Animated Series.
Correct. The very first time I had to cast Batman. I think I've cast Batman like 20 plus times. The voice of Batman for the various different projects, 20 plus times. But the first time was the hardest. And I've told it before, but I heard over 500 auditions. I personally directed over 150 callbacks. And then we narrowed it down to about 5 actors. And Bruce and I were like, well, pretty much any of these actors could do this. And then Kevin Conroy walked in the door and we went, God. And then we had our Batman for years. The easiest character to cast. None of them are easy. The truth is, I always get worried because I may be convinced this is the guy, this is absolutely the guy. And I'll convince Bruce, I'll convince whoever I'm working with. And then the night before the session, I'll start sweating and start worrying, oh my God, what if I made the wrong decision? What if I'm absolutely wrong? Because I was convinced when I said it, and I'm still sure, but because I'm so sympathetic to actors, I worry if I ever have to replace an actor, it breaks my heart. I don't ever want to replace an actor. So I do get sweaty, but I can't tell you that there was anyone that was easy. But if I think of well, there's always requests. So if, say, when we were working on the animated series, when we came up with Harley Quinn, when Paul Dini and Bruce created that character, they said, Paul said, my friend Arlene Sorkin would be really good. So that was easy. That would be one I would say was really easy because they wanted her. I knew she could do it, and that was done. But they're all, unless there's a request or somebody that clearly is the right guy for the role, they're tough.
When this being a brand new thing, did you sit down with Tim and be like, I see Batman having this tone, or I mean, I see Superman having this tone, and he's like, was there agreement? Was there a big debate?
There always is. There's always a debate, and we sit together in a group like this, like at a round table, and there's DC's input, and there's Warner Home Video's input, and there's Bruce's input, and there's the animation director's input, and mine, and so everybody starts throwing out ideas. How about? And the truth was, for this, we've been trying to get Michael C. Hall for years, and it just lined up. He was done with Dexter. He was more accessible. What was really cool was when we had to do the ADR, the fight stuff mostly, we tracked him down again. It's sometimes 8, 9, 10 months between original record and post-production when we're doing the ADR. And he was on Broadway doing Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which is historically one of the most difficult voice performances ever written. The guy that created that, thank you, the guy that created that actually had to stop, uncast himself because it hurt his voice so much. And so I'm calling Michael C. Hall going, I need you for 2 hours of going,
Since you've dealt with so many of these characters, is there ever a time where you see a news thing about how they cast them, like a live action movie, and you just like, that's interesting? Or does it even cross your mind?
You mean because I cast them in voiceover, then they get cast on camera?
In voiceover, and you see somebody they cast. Do you ever have a reaction? Does they cast you're not involved in live action,
Right.
You see who they cast, you're like,
Well,
that kind of reaction.
I like the voice industry so much, and I like the Batmen that we've used so much, that I sometimes do question the voice work of some actors who play Batman. Because I think there's so many wonderful actors out there, but I sometimes wish they would watch our shows a little more and just go, Batman can be very convincingly produced vocally without getting so over the top. Is that diplomatic enough? Nice talking to you guys. Thank you.